I will never forget that, because what my dad told me was I was responsible for the situation I was in. He wasn't going to fix it,
Yeah.
but he was going to be there with me.
Yeah.
I know some people that I love dearly. One of them lost their son to a drug overdose, and he's lost his faith.
Yeah.
Why would God do this? There cannot be a God. And I can understand his pain. But when we blame God for a choice that we made,
Mm.
I mean, I can go to so many different examples. If you drink all your life and you lose your liver and God doesn't rescue from it, is that his fault?
Mm.
But that doesn't mean he's not there loving you, holding your hand, making you feel, letting you know that he loves you. So I, some people call me, a sadist or something like that for what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
No one wants pain. No one wants it. But sometimes it's our own choices. Other times it's not our choices. But
Mm.
then we have to look through and see what what is the lesson here.
Yeah.
What my choice to get a divorce? But what was the lesson? And I don't know if I should say this one, but I will. I don't have a filter. I tell people that if you can imagine this, the day of my divorce was the single worst day of my life and simultaneously the single best day of my life,
Mm.
because one thing died and a new beginning, a better beginning opened up. A couple of months later, I get a phone call from this lady I met at the church, and she says, Circus City's hiring. Why don't you go down and apply for a job? So that's how I ended up at Circus City. Now, the night before I left Lubbock, I promised the group I was in that I would finish making the album we were working on, and I would finish the shows each had reading, writing, and arithmetics, but we overlooked the spiritual part of their lives and the creativity. God was a creator, and we are made in his image. We were made to create. Anyone can create music. Now, it may not be on a piano, it may not be a guitar, but you can sing, you can hear a voice. You can make up a song walking down the street.
Yeah.
Go write one today. Follow what's in your heart. You could do it. Send it to me.
Oh, okay.
I
I haven't
guarantee you,
I
you can
haven't
do it.
written a song in a long time.
Do it. Sing it into a tape recorder or a computer. Send it to me, because that's what that's the most incredible way to communicate with people.
Yeah. Hmm. It is. Yeah. I haven't written a song in a long time.
Relationships are are difficult, and you never know what it is. He came out of the depression. You never know what it is that shapes that part of someone, and we each interpret things differently. Like,
Yeah.
well, I may mean something with this, and you receive it a different way, and then once I find out, oh, that's not what I meant.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sometimes you've got to give people the benefit of the doubt. I don't even remember what the original question was. I apologize. I'm just
No, it's okay. It's okay. I mean, when you talk about that, and that's just with relationships with our parents and our loved ones. I should just say loved ones, because relationships come in different forms, um, and and it also, I want to also include God in this as well, as part of the relationship. Is the one thing that we all crave the most is the acceptance, and to know that we are living to someone's expectations, you know to hear that I am pleased with what you are doing. I mean, that is one of the most things that we crave the most.
there's another chapter in the book where I talk about there's going to have to be forgiveness for any relationship to work.
Mm.
And the opening sentence is something to the effect of that forgiveness is the key to a self-made jail.
Mm.
As long as you don't forgive someone, you are bound to them in some form or fashion. Uh,
Mm.
you have to let go of that. Now, that doesn't mean that you have to go out with them, that you have to, uh, you know, uh, send them flowers or whatever.
Mhm. Mhm.
But you can, or that you trust them again, even.
Mhm.
But you forgive them and move
enjoyed
on.
writing, especially like creative writing. But as you said, it does get squashed out of you.
Yep. You got
It
to
does.
conform.
Yeah, it does get squashed. That reminds me. I remember my brother was pretty good too, because I remember when we were in a car, for like it was like a 16-hour drive, and he was like the comedian. He is the comedian in the family, and he wrote a great poem about how he had to shift from
The only
cheek to
reason
cheek.
anyone ever pays any attention to me is because I know Garth Brooks and I wrote some songs with him and I got a gold record out of it.
Hmm.
So the very first, and if that hadn't happened in my life, you'd never known me about me. So um, people say, how did you meet Garth Brooks? So I'm going to give it to you in two halves.
Okay.
I used to work at Circuit City. And
Wow,
so I
that's a
know
big
I'm
one.
that old. So the store that I was at, we used to get, for lack of a better word, vagrants that came in and they would destroy business for us. So I'm the biggest guy in the store. I'm 6'7". And so my boss would come over and say, escort this guy out. So one day he comes up and there was this, I'm going to say it, he looked like a bum. He filthy clothes, oil stains, hair hadn't been washed in a month, and he sat on this end cap. So my boss said, get him out of here. So I go over to escort him out. As I get closer, I look at him and he looked familiar. And I said, do I know you? He said, Randall Tex Cobb, damn glad to meet you. And I don't know if you know who he is. He was a boxer that fought for the World Heavyweight Championship. He was an actor. So we started talking, and he's from Abilene, Texas. I grew up in Midland. So we were talking. He says, well, what's an old Texas boy like you doing out here? And I said, well, I'm one of those songwriters. Really? Well, my wife's a songwriter, and she's across the store. He says, come on. So he takes me over, and I meet her. Her name was Sharon. And we started talking, and I ended up selling them a stereo. And they said, we'll buy this stereo if you'll come put it together. I said,
Okay.
okay. So I go out, and I said, well, I told them, I said, I'll put it together if you'll listen to my songs, trying to get a break in there. And they said, okay. So we go over, I put the stereo together and I put my tape in. She listens to it and she says, you're pretty good. Why don't you call Bob and tell him that I sent you? So they gave me a name for Bob. Bob was at ASCAP, they said. So I called ASCAP and I said, I need to speak to Bob. They said, well, he doesn't work here anymore. But since you're a friend of Randall and Sharon's, I'll give you his number. You can call him. Okay. So I call up Bob and I say, Randall and Sharon Cobb told me to get hold of you that you could help me with my songwriting career. He says, well, I really don't do that anymore. But since you're a friend of Randall and Sharon's, come on, I'll listen to you. So I go in, bring my tape, play it. He says, no, you're pretty good. I quit doing working for ASCAP because I was going to manage this new act. His name is Garth. Would you like to write with him? Sure. So the the point of that story is we think miracles happen like that. Water
You
turning
are
into wine.
author, songwriter, and today we're going to hear talk about your book, No Way Out But Through.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is a looking at the title alone is a very powerful title. And it's so funny when we connected, my pastor ended up doing a sermon about Jesus, Peter, the water, and he pointed out something that was quite, I just never thought of. It's like one of those things, like it's been there the entire time. But the fact that Jesus told them to go, and Jesus knew that a storm was going to come. And so for him to be there, for Peter to be able to see Jesus, and for Jesus to walk and Peter to walk at a particular distance before he fell through the water, this title seems very fitting and appropriate
The
with
very
that.
last show that we were going to do together, September 18th, 1983, the day before my birthday, I'm up there singing, and my ex-girlfriend comes in with my former roommate. She goes and sits on the front table, sits in his lap, and starts hugging and kissing on him. So I'm standing up on stage and I'm thinking, gosh, I'm up here, I'm standing up here dying. You're sitting down there acting like a fool.
Mm.
Well, that scene stuck in my mind. That was 1983. I started writing with Garth in 1987. And by that time, that line had become, from where I'm sitting, I can see where I stand. And that's the song Garth and I wrote that Gary Allan recorded that got me my gold record. So again, all these little events, it's like, and you don't see him sometimes.
Yeah.
He's just working in the background.
Well said. Well said.
I got all
What
these.
what prompted you to even write this book to begin with?
Okay, you got a couple minutes for me to give you a story?
Yeah.
Well, they say there's the five most stressful things you can go through in life are: one, the death of a family; two, a health issue; three, a divorce; four is losing your job; and five is relocating or selling your house.
Mm.
In 2013, I did four of the five, and I did the fifth one a year later. And so I'll try to fill you in because this is really what started the book.
Mm.
In February, I was rushed to the hospital, chest pains, and I was scared stiff. But they wheeled me into the room. They did a couple of checks, and they put me into surgery. And when I came out, they told me that I had two heart conditions. One of them was AFib, and then the other one was pericarditis. So over the next 6 months, I was in and out of the hospital and the doctor's office, getting tests run and all this kind of thing. Well, finally, they decided they were going to do two surgeries.
What is one thing that the general public doesn't know about songwriting?
That anyone can do it. I'm serious. There was a study done where I don't know how they did it, but they measured the creativity of a child at 1 year old. And they had like a whole group of them, their test group of 100 of them.
Yeah.
And then they measured it at 4 years old, 5 years old, up to when they're 24.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, they said that is like 90% of these children had what they call creativity.
Okay.
By the time they got to their 20s, it kept going down to like 20% had what they would call creativity. And you ask why? And it's because we squashed it out of them in our educational system. You have to conform.
I mean, you had a great career. And so, when it comes to songwriting, and especially like, when you watch movies and writing, you're like, I could write it better, like I can act it better. But I mean, you guys make it look so effortlessly.
Others do. I'm lucky to be here. I'm very, very glad that I've been able to write songs. I always want a bigger audience.